Good afternoon and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Thursday. It is August 22nd, the start of a new race week over at Del Mar. We've only got a couple weeks left. This meeting has really gone by pretty quickly. So let's get started today on Thursday. So I'm going to pass on the first couple races. I do like a horse in the third race. I was going to actually play a pick six today because I had a couple singles, but then there was a big scratch later in the card. We'll get to that momentarily. But I do have a win bet I want to make in the third race. The third race is a maiden special weight at a mile in the dirt. So it's a small field, but it seems like a nice collection of horses with some big purchase prices. I do like the 4 horse, who is a bit mischievous. Now, a bit mischievous is the 4 horse, is 5-2 in the program. Abel Cedillo takes the call again. Now, Cedillo's been on this horse a couple times. Now, this horse really caught my attention in his last race. So this horse ran, had 2 starts, had a race over the Santa Anita turf, a 6 furlong turf. I think they just got the horse out there for some exercise. Then this horse went over to Losell and ran a sprint and ran a pretty nice race up against a Baffert horse who was very well meant that day. So those 2 races were fine, but what really caught my attention was when this horse went over to Del Mar and ran a mile off those 2 races and was a big price at 17-1, took the lead and really fought hard for the entire race at a mile. So this was first time going 2 turns at a mile, ran up against some horses with some experience, which includes Canada Gate, as well as the winner of the race was indispensable, had certainly some experience as well. So I like the way a bit mischievous ran that day, and I think 5-2 is a pretty nice price. We might get something close to that. I mean, there might be some action on the 1 horse who was Concord Bridge, another big purchase for the Sadler barn, and then the program favorite who is the 6 horse Canada Gate for Bob Baffert. So I'm going to take a shot and bet a few dollars on a bit mischievous. Peter Miller's barn's been going very well. And Cedillo's been riding well as well. And I really like Cedillo on 2-turn races on the dirt. I think he does a nice job of getting horses out there and getting the best of them and finishing up nicely. So that's a win bet there. Okay, now let's get started here with the late pick 5. Late pick 5 starts in the 4th race. And I've got a ticket here that I'm going to play. In the 4th race is another maiden special weight. These are for 2-year-old babies at 5 furlongs on the grass. So I've got 2 horses here that I'm going to put in here, and these are fillies, by the way. So I got 2 horses here that I'm going to put in. I'm going to put the 2 horse, who is Sophistry, for Sam Walensky, and Edwin Maldonado takes the call again. Now, this horse ran once over at Gulfstream. Walensky does bring horses to Del Mar, gets that ship and win bonus, and brings over some all right horses that definitely are competitive at Del Mar. So, horse ran a short race over at Gulfstream on a sprint, 5 furlong sprint, took the lead, faded, came second. They put this horse at 5 furlongs on the grass. She was coming out of the 8 hole out of 8. Got the lead pretty easily, moved over, ran into the stretch, and ended up just getting beat by a horse named Super Speed. So I think that this race might be a little easier from the 2 hole. Maldonado certainly knows how to get a horse out. He's done it with this horse. I think she gets an easier lead, and we'll see what some of these first starters are. Some of them I have, just no opinion of, or I don't think they'll be ready today. But so I'm going to put the 2, Sophistry. I'm going to put one of the first starters here who is Twirling Light. This one also for Peter Miller. It looks like Miller has a few live horses here today. So this was a big purchase, $600,000 purchase. I looked up the pedigree to see why this horse might have been such a big purchase. And the only thing I found was, I know one of the siblings was a horse named Thanks Mr. Eidson. And Thanks Mr. Eidson, I know, was a pretty good sprinter on the grass in California. Was certainly a fast horse and had won some races. So I don't know if that was the reason, but maybe the horse is just a really nice looking horse. Probably showed a lot of speed over at the Ocala sale. So it netted a big purchase price. So anyway, this horse is 5-2. No big secret here. Raylo Gutierrez on the horse. Gutierrez has certainly been riding for Miller. And, maybe this horse will just be ready to go first time out for the 9 hole. So I've got the 2 and the 9 to start the pick 5 there in the 4th race. Now let's go over to the 5th race. 5th race is 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. This is a $10,000 claiming race. So this is, your bottom rung there for fillies and mares over at Del Mar. Competitive field of horses, big field, so that's always nice. Don't have a strong opinion. I'm going to put 4 horses here to get this pick 5 moved along. I'm going to put the 1 who is Gypsy Lynn. J.K. Sweezy claimed this horse last time from Manny Ortiz. So we'll see how Sweezy does off the claim over at Del Mar. Now this horse, has an all right record, has been running in these type of races, this level, and running competitively. She also ran last time at Del Mar in a $10,000 race. Ended up taking the lead, had a clear lead, and got beat in the stretch. So, I don't know, that horse, that race might end up making this horse tough this race, or, it just might be same thing, rinse and repeat, horse gets out and finds someone to get beat by. So I do think, in a field that is a little bit void of talent, Gypsy Lynn is certainly worth putting in there. So I will put the one Gypsy Lynn for Sweezy, and Tyler Bays takes the call. I always like Bays on the rail. I think he does a nice job there. All right, so that's the one Gypsy Lynn. I'm also going to put the 4 horse. The 4 horse is Sugar Sugar. Now this comes in for the Sergio Morphine barn. Now Morphine, always seems to have horses around this level and does run competitively, whether it's at Santa Anita, Los Al, or at Del Mar. So this horse, definitely fits in this type of level of race. Horse has a pretty good record at Del Mar with 4 starts, win a second and 2/3. So certainly must like the sea air. Now Ortega gets on the horse. Ortega's a rider who primarily rides nighttime at Los Al, but this horse, Jock has been riding this horse, so he certainly knows this horse. And this is the kind of horse that does show some speed, and it's just a matter of, being competitive at 5.5 at this level, which it looks like this horse should be. So 9-2, I'll put Sugar Sugar in. I'm also going to put the 8 horse, who is Morning Addiction for Bill McLean. Now this horse was a bet down favorite, was a 8-5, 7-5 last time at Del Mar. Horse completely blew the start. It was one of those where it was probably very questionable. Maybe it could have been declared a non-starter, but it seems like Del Mar's not doing that this meet. There's been several instances of this, and they've seemed to rule them all as starters. So anyway, this horse really didn't get out of the gate, and that's a throwout race. But the horse was bet on, so must have been training well, looked well. So they're just bringing this horse back into this kind of same race. 10,000 claimer, has the 8 hole here. Horse should certainly be competitive. Has a great dirt record. So this horse has done most of her damage on the dirt, but had been running up north, so didn't get a whole lot of dirt chances with the synthetic track up there. But probably the move to the dirt works out well for this horse. 3-1. That's Morning Addiction. And then finally, I'm going to put the 10 horse, who is Cholima. Now, Cholima comes out of the Gennaro Vallejo barn, and the apprentice Orontes, 7-pound apprentice Orontes, is on this horse. Now, I've been kind of wondering about Orontes as a jock. 7-pound apprentice seems like he's got a lot to learn, and it looks that way in how he rides horses. In this kind of race, it looks to me like, it's a lower level race. It's 5.5 furlongs, so maybe this is all about speed and getting a position, which Orontes certainly could do. But, I just kind of wonder when it comes to really needing a good rider, positioning or whatnot, then, it'd be hard for me to play Orontes. But I'm going to put him in this race. Horse has a nice record at Del Mar, so the sea air should be fine for her. And, the 10 hole, I would imagine instructions are pretty simple. Get the horse out, stalking position, see if you could finish. So that's the 1, 4, 8, and 10. All right, now let's move over to the next race. Next race is the 6th race. This is a 1 3/8 on the grass. This is a second level allowance race. So nice race, 3-year-olds and up, second level allowance race. And we've got some nice horses in this race. Nice collection of horses, some stakes, former stakes winners, some former graded stakes winners that are in here, some Calbred, some open company. So a nice collection of horses. So I've got 3 of them here that I'm going to put in to try to keep this pick 5 going along. So I'm going to put the 2 horse. Actually, there's a big scratch in this race. The 7 horse, who was the program favorite, is out of the race. So that horse is out. Not sure what's going on there, but it does certainly change the complexion of this race. So I'm going to put the 2 horse, Divine Purpose. This for Phil D'Amato. So Phil D'Amato's other horse, the favorite, did scratch, and Divine Purpose is in this race. Now I like the 2 races this horse has run since he came up over from Europe. Won a first level allowance over at Santa Anita at a 1 1/8, and it just was a nice race there. And check that. Actually, the last race, the horse that came here was a 1 1/4 race. So Divine Purpose won at a 1 1/4 right off the bench over at Santa Anita, which is, I think, a pretty nice accomplishment to be able to do that off the bench. So next time this horse came out was over at Del Mar in a second level allowance race and was a favorite that day. And the early races, early in the meet races at Del Mar on the turf, I'm not going to indict horses for running poorly, and I'm also not going to overvalue horses who won, because that turf course was very strange. It seemed like everybody was just doing all they can, to get to that rail. It was almost like harness racing the way they were doing it there. Everyone was just getting over to the rail, bumping their way through and getting to the rail. Whoever couldn't get to the rail really was at a disadvantage, and speed certainly was holding there too. So that last time, Divine Propos had neither. Couldn't get to the rail, was running 3 wide for most of the track, and certainly wasn't anywhere near the lead. But this horse is still close. So I think Divine Propos should really be in good shape after that race. 9-2 in the program. We expect that to change because of program scratch of the favorite. Freysu's on the horse. Freysu's ridden this horse twice and ridden this horse well. So that's the 2 horse. That's Divine Propos. I'm going to also put the 4 horse, who was Awfully Naughty, from Michael McCarthy. Rispoli Takes the Call. Now, interesting with this horse, the reason why this horse qualifies, it's a graded stakes winner, has won several times last year, graded stakes. And, this horse is now running in this race because they're putting this horse up for an 80,000 tag, so that makes him eligible. So, I kind of wonder, it'd be nice to hear from Michael McCarthy. Obviously they're willing to lose the horse for 80. Maybe he's not the same horse as he once was, but again, maybe they feel like, well, nobody's going to claim this horse for 80, so we need to run him somewhere, and, stakes racing is maybe not where we need to be. So 5-1, Rispoli Takes the Call. Rispoli's done a whole lot right on this turf course, so it's hard to throw him out. So Awfully Naughty to me fits in this race. Then I'm also going to put the new face in this race, who is the 9 horse. 9 horse, also from Michael McCarthy. Now this horse comes over from the east. Had been running, started his career at Gulfstream, had run over at Ellis Park, had run Saratoga, Kentucky Downs. Nice to see this horse here in California. This is a import from the east, as I mentioned. I know Rapoli Stables are involved with this horse, and Rapoli, certainly gives horses to Michael McCarthy. This horse is 10-1 in the program. Raylo Gutierrez is on the horse today, which, Gutierrez has done some good work also, on the turf course and at Del Mar altogether. So this horse looks to me like it could be the speed in the race. And they're probably just going to test this horse out, see if California was where this horse wants to be, on the firmer ground, on the faster ground. Certainly looks like it could be. I mean, this horse ran over at Kentucky Downs last year in a long race. And that Kentucky Downs turf course was really speed favoring. This course really thrived there. This horse thrived over there. So maybe they're looking something like that again. So this is 10-1 in the program. That's Fearless Soldier. So that's the 2, 4, and 9 that I've got in this race. Let's move over to the 7th race. 7th race of the day is a starter allowance at a mile on the dirt. Now this race really changed shape. There was a horse in here I was going to single but got scratched. That was the 4 horse, who was Muccino. That was 6-5 in the program. So big scratch there. I feel like it really, certainly changes the complexion of this race. And that scratches it down to a field of 5 horses, so a very short field here. I'm going to put 2 horses in here to get this pick 5 moved along. I'm going to go with the 2 Shot of Courage. George Papadromo, the trainer, and Kazushi Kimura is on the horse. This horse had run all his life on the turf, and just was running some even races or less than even races. They end up putting this horse on the dirt over at Del Mar earlier in the meet, and the horse ran his best race of his life. Broke his maiden for 40,000, ran a really nice race, showed a lot of energy. The dirt should be no problem for this horse out of hard spun Lemon Drop Kid mare. So I think the thinking is, folks see Lemon Drop Kid and think turf, but Lemon Drop Kid was a Belmont Stakes winner way back when. So, their dirt should be no problem here. And it looks like maybe this horse might have found his liking, So that's 12-1 in the program. I don't see 12-1 today because of that scratch, so that'll certainly change the odds. But I'm going to put Shot of Courage. Kimura is, very talented rider and could take care of these guys in a hurry here in this race. So that's 2 horse Shot of Courage. I'm also going to put the 3 horse, who is Hondo Crouch, from Mark Blatt. Now, originally, I didn't like this horse when the other horse was here, Muccino, but because of that scratch, I do think it moves up Hondo Crouch for Mark Glatt. This horse comes off a layoff and, should be fresh, ready to go, is now the favorite at 8-5 in the program. Herrera Takes the Call. Herrera has done, some good work on horses. He doesn't win a lot of races because he doesn't get a lot of chances as he once did, but certainly it seems like when he gets a horse that is capable, he puts a good ride on the horse, and I think you can trust Herrera in a race like this. So that's the 2 and the 3. I kind of debated putting the 6 in the race, but it's just not going to happen. If Laprida wins, let him win. I'm tired of putting this guy on tickets, here and there, and he just doesn't get it done. I have been playing that Laprida off angle, which seems to move horses up. So a horse like Mishalov probably will get bet on, but I'm just going to pass on that. So that's the 2 and the 3. All right, now let's go over to the last race of the day. At last race of the day is the 8th race. This is a mile on the grass. This is a condition claimer, $25,000 claimer, non-winner of 2. And I find this to be an interesting race as well because you've got some horses dropping. And I kind of wonder, are these horses dropping because they're getting realistic, or are the connections dropping these horses just hoping to get rid of them? There's nowhere else to go. So, a little tough to decipher on some of these horses. But I'm going to toss out, a couple of the shorter prices. I'm going to toss out the 1 who is Rhino at 5-2 for Dan Blacker and Joe Talmo. I don't like this horse today. They're dropping this horse out of California special weight, where he broke his maiden, and then a allowance race into 25,000 claimer. To me, that looks like an alarm bell. Not going to put that in there. I am going to put the 5 horse, who is Foxtrot Harry. This is for Sandino Hernandez coming from Florida. Now, he did bring this horse over to Del Mar and ran once, which I thought was kind of an even race. The horse was a long shot that day, but I feel like he finds a lot easier company here for coming out of his starter allowance, going into the 25 claimer. He ran up against Jewel Shillelagh, which Jewel Shillelagh was a horse very much ready to go that day and won nicely. So I do like Foxtrot Harry. I thought he had a little bit of a rough trip there, and you weren't going to close from too far back then. So Foxtrot Harry, I see a improved effort here, 10-1, putting him in there. I'm going to put Get Kraken in as well. Get Kraken, Peter Urton. Peter Urton's had a tough meet. We've talked about him before, so we'll see. This horse is 3-1. Maybe this horse found his friends here today. 25,000. My guess is if this horse doesn't win here, you'll probably see the horse running for 10 or so. But I'm going to put the 6, who is Get Kraken. And then I'm going to also put the 9 horse, who is Jack Kerouac. Now, I debated singling Jack Kerouac. This is for Phil D'Amato. He comes out of that same race, the Jewel Shillelagh race that I mentioned that Foxtrot Harry comes out of. Now, the 9 horse here, I thought also ran a pretty nice race. And, it was kind of a troubled trip there as well. This horse is 4-1 today. Freysu keeps the horse. He had the horse last time. This was a Laprida off angle, which I had given out. So now this horse, like I said, I think he had a little bit of a rough trip. Again, those turf races at Del Mar early in the meet, if you didn't get to the rail and you weren't up close, it was going to be very, very hard for you to do anything. And this horse did neither as well. He was nowhere near the lead. Kind of got a little boxed in and didn't really get a chance to really stretch his legs. So I think this horse should run well off that last race, in the 50,000 starter allowance going down to 25,000 here. That would be Jack Kerouac. Okay, now let's recap here the day. So today here at Del Mar, I've got a win bet in the 3rd race. That's the 4 horse for Peter Miller, and that's a bit mischievous. So I like that horse in the maiden race. And then I've got a pick 5 ticket, which starts in the 4th race. So let's go to that one now. So that's the 2-9 with the 1-4-8-10 with the 2-4-9 with the 2-3 with the 5, 6, and 9 in the last race. Now that pick 5 ticket comes out to be $72, which I'm going to play. If that's your speed, feel free to jump in. If you want to add or subtract, you've got to do what works for you, or play pick 3s. Pick 3s can work out for you as well within that sequence. So, or if you just want to bet individual races. So any way you go, you could certainly, use this information to maybe help you make some bets and make some money. As always, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. And let's get some great trips at Del Mar, because as we've seen, great trips really, really do help. And, let's wish the folks over there at Del Mar a great day of safe racing. All right, so as always, I ask you to please hit the subscribe button if you can. It certainly helps me, and it also helps, get you the content fed to you, gets on your feed. So it doesn't cost you anything. It just gets you on the queue. And when new content comes up, then you will be on that feed. Like, dislike, make some comments. I promise to respond to all the comments. I really look forward to discussions like that. And let's have a great day of racing at Del Mar, where the turf meets the surf.